What's up, Diablo 4 players? So, brand new info for Vessel of Hatred and Season 6 is looking to shape up a lot of things. We're basically getting a new Diablo game. This is one of the most upvoted posts over on Reddit. They're calling 2.0 essentially a brand new Diablo game because they are reworking so much in the game. First off, we're getting the max level capped change. We're getting complete reworks as far as the new armor system as well as the Paragon, and we are also getting some changes to kind of the max amount of armor, and some of the things are going to be easier for maybe beginner players to understand. So it's going to maybe add a lot more to the player base being able to actually get towards the end game. So for starters, there was a really great post over here, and it was talking about all like the changes kind of condensed in here, but I'm going to go over some pros and some cons and kind of what people want to see. So kind of like the pros and the cons of 2.0. So for starters, we're getting Nightmare Dungeon Masterwork materials. So if you want to get your materials there, sure, go ahead and do that, but I will probably say Infernal Hordes is probably the best thing to go for. And then on top of that, we're getting glyph upgrades in the pit now, which is going to be excellent because I think that that's more suited for it. As long as they do fix the pit bosses, I feel like pit bosses are definitely something that they need to take a look at. In terms of the scaling and kind of the one-shottiness feel, I know that you do build up the stacks and then you get one-shotted, but it never really feels good to get one-shotted. There are these brand new gloves that came out in Season 5 that were supposed to kind of fix getting one-shotted, but no one wants to play them, let's be real. So hopefully they can make a look at that. And they're also adding the runes for rune wards. This is basically a brand new system. This is massive. On top of that, we're all getting new skills. No matter what class you play, you're getting some new skills, which is definitely going to be awesome. And then they're talking about more skill points, and there's going to be some newer glyphs, some Paragon points that you get. And then on top of that, the account-wide Paragon points is really great. This is going to allow you to basically choose a different class. Maybe you're bored, you maxed out one class, and this is one thing that I've given them suggestions time and time again. I'm so glad that they're finally kind of listening. Sometimes it just takes a time for some of these things that us Diablo partners give as suggestions. It's not going to be like, oh, he wants this done, all right, we're going to overtime it over this weekend, get what he said done, which would be awesome. But nonetheless, this is one thing that I really wanted. It was a very big pain point of leveling up multiple classes. Usually for me, I play every single class in every single season, and it takes so dang long, and sometimes I'm just like, I really don't want to go ahead and remake, like, a certain build, and if I could just have access to the Paragon, earlier on, it's going to make things much faster. So this is a great thing for some of the more casuals, and even some of the players that want to play every single build. This is awesome. We're getting brand new mythic uniques. This is something I kind of feel like to be expected. We also get mythic crafting, which we don't really know too much about. They're also giving us brand new difficulties, and overall, like, the patch notes were so big, literally I was unexpected, and I ended up having to make 2 videos. It was almost like 2 hours long to cover everything. It is huge what this game is doing in 2.0. But I also want to go over some of the other things that people kind of want to see. So what I found really interesting, and this is going to be kind of addressed here in this post. So it says that 85% of players are actually solo, which is actually very interesting because, this is a multiplayer online-only game, but you have more than half the player base playing solo. To me, that's wild. But they are actually fixing that with the game having a Matchmaker tool. Now, even though we are getting this tool, I really did like Diablo 3's system, which is like, all right, what difficulty do you want to do? Torment, 1 through whatever. You just hit and you go, and it just match makes you. You don't have to wait, essentially, other than you sometimes may have to wait in the queue, but usually you just hit go in, and you just go in, and you don't have to search, accept, party, invite, or anything. And I feel like that this would be a nicer addition than finding a group. But nonetheless, at least we are getting a matchmaker system in the Season 6, aka the expansion. So this is a big, big win, especially for the people that don't go to Discords or different streams to find a group, because I've been playing with a lot of you guys in the stream, and it's really helpful. I'm like, hey guys, anyone need to run this boss? Let's go run this boss 10, 20 times or whatever. And it's really helpful. But I know some people always have the mindset of, I can't get the Uber meeting. So this is going to be really easy for you guys to do it. You don't have to join Discord, add random people, and talk to people you may not want to talk to. And it's going to be much, much smoother, and I like that system. Another thing that is getting added that is really good, but it's not going to be quite at the start perhaps, because they didn't say, oh, it's coming for sure, but there are 2 really big things. So being able to confirm your waypoint system, you can see this little picture over here, you can basically choose wherever you want to go specifically when you go back into your town portal, because there are certain areas like Duriel where if you go back to town, you gotta walk all the way over there to go salvage your stuff, and you gotta walk all the way back. I hated it, and now we can have a favorite location. What I think would be even cooler though is to have our own hideout like in Path of Exile or any of these other modern action RPG games. It'd be really cool just to be able to have our own little like area, and I think that they could actually benefit off of this, whether they want to do some microtransactions, you know, whatever, if it's just cosmetic. I think this would be a great way for them to add something new for completely free. Again, they would have other little cosmetics that you can decorate and stuff. I think that that would be a cool idea. Ideally, yeah, I would say it'd be cool if you just had to earn all those cosmetics, but at the end of the day, I think a hideout would be a cool thing to have. And then another post over here is talking about the armory system, because as some of you guys know, I actually have like 3 rogues, and when I want to swap builds, I literally just go to my other rogue. And so it's going to be way better when we have an armory system to be able to just swap in and out, right? That is something that is being worked on. They've been saying this time and time again. But, you know, at some point, it needs to be dropping, you know. Hopefully, they can eventually say, hey, guys, it's ready to go. We're dropping it next patch. Fingers crossed, though, it comes out in Season 6 and the expansion versus like having to wait till like Season 7, 8 or whatever. But another thing that I've been dying for this game to add, please Blizzard, we need a loot filter. There is no point of the yellow items in World Tier 4. My suggestion would be just as of right now, delete the yellow items. The yellows and blues, they're worthless. There is no point for them to be in World Tier 4. And it's even worse for console players or people that play on PC with controller, because what if I just want to pick up that one thing? Well, too bad. I got to pick up every single thing next to it. It's a huge quality of life change that I think really, really needs to just come out. If they want to rework yellow items later, that's fine. But for now, in World Tier 4, just to make it easier for your players, don't make them sift through the sand. Just let us pick the thing up that we want. And there's kind of another problem. You can see this one over here too, especially on controller. Man, that's got to be an absolute nightmare. I play hybrid, so when this happens, I literally, some builds legitimately are better, by the way, with controller, and some builds are better with mouse and keyboard. But I play hybrid, so if this happens, if you want to do hybrid, I guess, you know, that's my suggestion for you guys. But yes, we do need a loot filter. It is so bad that we still don't have a loot filter. And what I find very strange with the game is, why are they so anti-loot filter? It'd be really good, again, just delete the rare items. That'd be the easiest, quickest fix for World Tier 4, just to remove them. And then once you make rare and blue items usable by some sort of means, then you add them back into the game, but at least add a loot filter. But a lot of people are talking about this game becoming Diablo 3 2.0. And, you know, I want to agree to some extent, like the way that glyphs are able to be leveled up, the way that we have so much cooldown reduction that we can just get like perma unstoppable in some builds. But, you know, I really don't mind the game Diablo 3. I like Diablo. I'm still a content creator that actually plays all of the Diablo games. Specifically, when it comes to Diablo 1 and 2, though, I'm going to be straight up, I only really play mods. I would love for this game to add mod support, which we'll talk about briefly later. But as far as it goes, there are a lot of people complaining that it is basically just Diablo 3 now. And at the end of the day, Diablo 3 was a very successful game, and the people that like Diablo 2, well, you know, Diablo 2 is still getting some ladder resets. While I want Diablo 2 to eventually add mostly mod support, specifically adding like Median XL mod support, that'd be fantastic. But I don't really mind that it's going in the Diablo 3 route. It seems like it's playing it relatively safe, but I can totally understand why people are disappointed. They want Diablo 4 to be its own game, and I want to say that the game originally had a more Diablo 1 feel, with basically being able to be infinitely stunned. It never really felt good for players that maybe haven't experienced like getting builds with no faster hit recovery. In Diablo 1, like, you just melt instantly in that game sometimes if you take on too many monsters. The speed at which this game operates compared to like D2, unless you count like teleporting around, it is designed originally to be a lot slower, but there came to a point where they're just like, you know what, just let people blast, give 1,000% plus damage, give 500% damage to certain things, and that's why people say that it's becoming Diablo 3. But what I think is very strange in the design is that we have all these limitations. Like, for example, they're like, okay, this thing has a cap. We're going to go ahead and reduce all these, you know, numbers. We're going to shrink all these numbers so it's easier to understand. But you are still releasing, you know, items with like plus 1,000% damage, which again is in the Diablo 3 realm. But then you want to kind of be condensed and easier to understand, so we're not hitting for like billions of damage. More likely, it's a lot of builds that are kind of things that maybe that haven't fully been tested, and people are just hitting for way more numbers than kind of expected. But at the end of the day, I'm curious to know what you guys think about this. Do you guys like the Diablo 3 like design system that Diablo 4 is becoming Diablo 3? Because it straight up is. And I know some people, that this post over here says it's not just Diablo 3, but I want to say that in my personal view, it is. But is that a bad thing? Let me know down below how you feel about that. And then on top of that, getting new skills is one of the coolest features, and I want to see more of this in the future with the game. And it's really cool that we're also getting rune words that can add skills from other classes. This is actually one thing that I was talking about a really long time ago. I can't get too far into it because obviously NDA, but I'm so happy that they're finally entering in skills from other classes. This is one of the biggest things that I'm like, you guys need to have more complexity in your game for the people that want to spend a lot of time in your game. Now you can actually kind of do that with the new rune system, which we'll talk about. Being able to have this activate when this happens, that's a really cool system. And I think that, you know, letting people come up with creative game-breaking stuff is totally awesome, because when you add a lot more complexity to the game, it lets those people sit around for a really long time and come up with the most creative things that normally you wouldn't think of. Like even this season, the most weird thing that we came up with was Andariel's Starlight. Like that was a crazy idea to have like resources generate to the point where you're getting some extra damage. Another thing I want to talk about really quick is like there's so many garbage uniques in the game that pretty much at this point, like there's no point for them to really exist. And while not every unique item needs to be the best in slot or like a viable option for every single build, at least somewhat usable. Like getting this, like seeing a quad GA, man, you probably got super excited and was like, what is this thing? And then you pick this up, it's like, oh, this is absolutely garbage. So hopefully in the future we can see another rework to a bunch of the uniques that literally see like zero play. Like who's playing Soulbrand in the game? Like never. At the launch of this, Tassus of the Dawning Sky, that item was really cool, but like still no one plays it. So I think we need another round 2 of reworks on certain things like Eagle Horn, absolutely like pointless items. So that's one thing that I think would be very, very nice. As far as the mythic uniques, I've seen this a couple times when I was talking about like mythic uniques. You're going to be able to actually craft them. I know some people still have the mindset of, I can never get an Uber unique, it's impossible. I promise you, you can get them. Let me make an updated video. We just dropped a video on how to get them, but I'm going to be doing another follow-up video because you guys can get these. And in Season 6, or the expansion, you're going to be able to craft them. Now, again, we don't know too much about this, but I'd say this is a pretty big win for some of those players that still have that mindset. Like, you can really get them. Another thing that I think really needs to be addressed, this is mainly for console players, but, like, the person literally cannot pick up certain items because it's just all one button. So what you need to do is rebind the, your interact key. That's how you can fix it. I'm just giving you guys a quick fix for it, but I think that this could be something that they could look at, because again, this is something that maybe they aren't aware of. As far as the rune words go, I wanted to briefly talk about this. I think this is actually a cool idea. They're talking about like rune words. It's not like you can just craft whatever rune word you want. I mean, it's only like two letters. There's a really great website. I'll leave it down below as well, and I'm going to make a dedicated video towards this, but it's talking about all of the rune words. And basically, you can select whatever you want. So how it works is like you cast this skill with a cooldown, and it requires you to have 50 or whatever, like it's kind of like rune mana, and then like it's going to do this ability where it's guaranteed critical strike once you reach this threshold of that amount, which I think is really cool. This is where like the game gets really crazy with this customization. And then I can activate this once I hit this. I can use a skill from another class. Again, this is one of the coolest features, and I'm really excited to see these crazy combinations, probably game-breaking things. Another cool thing with the events is, I actually just learned this, and I wanted to just add this in the video. You can actually get the mythic uniques from the goblins. Do the events, guys. That's how you can get the mythics. Now, it's not going to be like a guaranteed. But another thing of criticism that I think people definitely would want, and I think this would be a great quality of life change, if you die during the boss, you should not have to walk through basically half of the dungeon or area again. I think that this would be a nice quality of life change to see, just like the armory. And this one is hopefully an easier fix, but like this definitely should be in the game. Another thing is that like as far as the leaderboard goes, they're talking about an exploit as far as like the gauntlet in terms of like the competitive leaderboard thing. But the main thing I want to get out of this is specifically that I would like for us to have, instead of having the gauntlet be the leaderboard, can we just get the pit leaderboard? Like, I think that would be just a much better way in terms of metric to measure people's skills, and that way people can see what are the best things in the game, versus this thing that, let's be honest, it's kind of a weird, awkward thing because it's not even max level content. Another thing that I've seen time and time again, people asking about a variety of loot goblins, like maybe one can drop crafting materials, maybe one can drop like a greater affix, maybe one for, unique items. This would be cool. I think this is a really great suggestion over here. And then this one is talking about the minions or the mercenaries, and the mercenaries won't count as minions and they won't inherit things from you. So basically what that more than likely means is that the mercenaries may not actually do crazy damage. I was really hoping that the mercenaries would be like Diablo 2 where they can solo carry content, whereas you know, in Diablo 3 the mercenaries couldn't really kill anything, which is kind of unfortunate past, of course, you know, like the earlier tiers of content. So it would be cool, but this is something that I want to say that would be really cool to be able to add, you know, more inventory in the mercenaries and actually make builds off of the mercenaries and have them solo carry content, considering, remember, 85% of the player base plays solo, and this would be a really great way for them to add in kind of a feel of having an additional player with you versus something that just kind of gives you some buffs once in a while. This is kind of more a criticism here, but I'm curious to know, what do you guys think? Do you guys like the idea of the mercenary being able to solo carry? Because I definitely would like to see that. Next up over here, an inventory tab, basically additional stash tabs would be an excellent thing, because like what was really weird is we consistently get these new forms of content, and with these new forms of content we get like more material that is non-stackable, and I think it is very annoying because we just literally don't have any rooms. There's so many times where like I have no rooms to hold materials for like the boss, so many materials, or I'm running out of room for like the potions that would like drop from the goblins or whatever. So this would be a nice quality of life change for us to be able to stack. Like why do they only stack to 50? Why can't we just go 999 onto every single thing? Like this is a huge thing that just doesn't make sense. And like if you play the game like at a certain point, you just kind of run out of like one of the inventory spaces, which is like all the summoning stuff, and they are kind of addressing that because runes are now going to be something I believe in a separate tab as well as with the gems. But basically that is something that I think we need more stash tabs. If they want to sell us stash tabs for a couple bucks, that's fine with me. I just really want more stash space in general. Next up, this is another thing that I think would be a great suggestion, is that the cosmetic shop should be able to let you like maybe preview the character, because sometimes, you know, you don't really get to see the isometric view of it, and if it ever encourages people to buy an item because now they can see, you know, what it looks like, and maybe, you know, in a zoomed out view, I think that would be a really nice change, because, you know, you don't get to see it. Again, this is the thing I was talking about. I want to just reference what I was talking about, where they want to squish down these numbers, but then you have items like this where it's like plus 1,500. Like, well, like these numbers are so crazy high that, again, that's why people are saying, oh, this game is just becoming more and more like Diablo 3, where we have to level up the glyphs. Like, I think it was 100 now. It's basically the same idea of the gem system in Diablo 3. Now, is that a good or bad thing? At the end of the day, the more complexity you add to the game, the harder it is for some people to get to the end, but at the same time, it gives those other players, the grinders, something to kind of do. And they have to, I think, kind of balance it between keeping it casual enough for people to enter in and have some fun and not feel too overwhelmed with the game's content, because it's just kind of a numerical stat increase. But some of these numerical stat increases, I've been like seeing what other content creators have shown up with the brand new like leaks as far as the Vessel of Hatred and stuff. They're making like these Paragon boards, and some of these numbers are going to like 500% on like per glyph, and I'm just like, well, even though we got all these numbers shrinked, all these other things are just boosting it up, so we're getting the same thing, even though your goal was to shrink the numbers. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see kind of how that actually turns out. Another thing that I want to mention is just some of the rewards for the players that are grinders. Specifically, like they're talking about the goblins over here. You can see it says, I farmed for goblins mats. I got all of these. I opened up all of them. He made like a giant, area of all these legendaries that drop. And they're saying that these are useless items. Grand total of 14 Js, 13 are single. So what I think would be kind of cool is some way to convert, let's say, a greater affix. Maybe you can require like 100 or 50, whatever the number is, and then you get a special scroll that can, you know, roll a greater affix on a piece of gear. That way every single greater affix feels a little bit good, and that way you still have this item progression of building towards something, versus like, oh, I got this item and it's basically trash, because like you see GA and you're like, oh, it's good, and it's like, oh, psych, is life on it, like, and it's just never really good, right? So for the most part, I think that this would be kind of a interesting suggestion, because a lot of people feel like, oh, I got a triple GA but it's garbage. Maybe with a triple GA you salvage it, you get some sort of new material that can maybe give you a chance at crafting, or maybe towards the temporary rerolls. Whatever the case may be, maybe greater affixes while salvaged can have some sort of a benefit. So these are just like some suggestions that I think would be great for the next expansion. All right, now let me talk about some other things that I really, really like to see in the future of this game, because again, we're talking about like the wins and the losses. One thing that I've been dying for, and I honestly don't expect this to come out, but I'm dying for mod support for Diablo 4 and Diablo 3. I think mod support really keeps the game refreshing, and, you know, obviously a lot of reasons why they probably won't allow this is because people can maybe hack into the game, run private servers if they allow people to make mods. You know, obviously that could be, you know, the, I guess, dark side, so to speak, of adding mod support, but I genuinely think that mod supports would be good for this game, being able to add in a lot more content. Maybe during the downtime, people can still play the mods. There are so many people that still play a lot of video games that are super old because of the mod support, and I think that adds a lot of life into the game. And maybe if the mods do really cool things, they can implement some of the things that were added into the mods into the live game. But again, I wouldn't say this one will probably not happen. Another thing that I've been really wanting to see is some sort of form of PvP. You can see a lot of people kind of complaining about no PvP. PvP zones feel empty. Now, there was a leaked file that was data mined a while back for some sort of PvP arena. Will that come to light in the expansion? We haven't heard anything at the moment of me making this video, but I really think that because they even had it in some of the trailers, they were showing off the PvP, and I know a lot of people wanted to play this game for PvP. Heck, there are Diablo channels really dedicated towards like really cool PvP content. Shout out to the content creator Cooley. There's so many like awesome things to do as far as PvP goes. This is like infinite replayability, and you can see this person over here is talking about they went into the PvP area, but there was nobody there, and there is an achievement that is requiring you to kill a certain amount of players without like leaving the PvP zone. I have that achievement, but I know a lot of people are saying, dude, this is impossible to get the achievement now, and it is, because like it was during Season 0 where I got it, where there was people consistently in PvP, but there's no longer people in the PvP area, and because there's really no incentive. So maybe you can add some sort of rank PvP, maybe you can add some incentives to actually do it. Maybe there are really good loot rewards if you go to the PvP zone. So that's one area where I want to say this game is in a massive like drought. Like, we need more people in this PvP zone. So you need to add either some sort of ranking system that could give you good rewards, perhaps. I think the thing that would be the most exciting is to have some sort of clan battles. They have this new like angel/demon thing, and in the original design of the game, you're supposed to be able to be towards angel side or demon side, and you would gain these powers. And this is actually one suggestion that I had for them, and there may be something in the game where hopefully you could decide with the angels and demons, and it'd be really cool to have like the eternal conflict, and you can actually be in a clan that is either an angel clan or a demon clan, and there is a PvP zone that has some sort of like war battlegrounds that will actually change the outcome of the game in the future. I think this is one area where there's infinite replayability. If you add some sort of incentives for PvP, maybe the best PvP clan gets to design the next Uber Unique. That's the kind of content that I think needs to exist. Or you add some sort of rewards, like if you go to the PvP zone, you know, maybe you can get a spark for like maybe a weekly or a daily. You need some incentives to go to the PvP zone, because at the moment, I mean, yeah, there's a little bit more goblins in the PvP zones, but there isn't really a big incentive to go there. There's no reason to fight over like just random like monsters, right? So something for PvP would be a big win for the game. But anyways, those are the things that I saw that a lot of people wanted to see in the game that either currently aren't added or maybe will be added later in the game. Specifically though, I really would like to see a loot filter, because this is the experience, especially with the Goblin event. I know they have recently updated so that there's less items that drop, but I think a loot filter would be a huge win for this game. But anyways, those are the things that I think that should be in the game. I'm curious to know, what do you guys think should be added in Season 6, and I'll try to relay that info, as I want to go over like the things that people really like and want to see in the expansion, and some of the things that people don't want, or maybe they really want to see to make the game a better place. Anyways, that's gonna wrap it up. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like on it if you're new here, hit subscribe, turn that bell if you guys want to see more Diablo and action RPG goodness, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.